If Stoicism could be boiled down to one transformative idea, it would be this: know what you can control and accept what you cannot. This simple but powerful distinction is what the Stoics called the dichotomy of control. And it lies at the very heart of a peaceful life. We suffer needlessly when we try to control the uncontrollable: other people's opinions, the weather, politics, past events, or the outcomes of our actions. These are external, and no matter how much energy we spend on them, we cannot bend them fully to our will. The more we grip, the more we hurt. What, then, can we truly control? According to Epictetus, we control our own judgments, choices, desires, and actions. In other words, our inner life, our thoughts, our responses, and our moral will are ours alone to master. Everything else is on loan from the universe. This understanding doesn't make us passive or indifferent. On the contrary, it makes us strong and precise. It helps us focus our energy where it matters most, on shaping our own character and making decisions with virtue. It frees us from the emotional whiplash that comes from obsessing over things beyond our reach. Let's take an example. Imagine you've applied for a job. You prepared thoroughly, wrote an excellent resume, and performed well in the interview. You've done your part. But whether you get the job, that's out of your hands. If you get it, great. If you don't, you haven't failed. You succeeded in doing what was up to you, acting with excellence. The outcome was never yours to guarantee. This shift in thinking is both humbling and liberating. It reminds us that life is not about controlling events, but responding to them wisely. The Stoic does not waste time wishing things were different. They focus instead on responding with virtue to whatever happens. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor dealing daily with war, betrayal, and disease, still wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When we accept this dichotomy, we begin to live with serenity. We no longer lose sleep over people's opinions or unexpected setbacks. We stop blaming and start building. We stop clinging and start choosing wisely, intentionally, with peace. So, how do we practice this? When something frustrates you, pause and ask, is this within my control? If yes, take calm, intentional action. If no, release it. Trust that it's part of the unfolding of life. Your role is to respond with character, not command the cosmos. This is not about apathy. It's about clarity. It's about placing your peace where it belongs, not in outcomes, but in your integrity. In the next chapter, we will explore the idea of living according to nature and reason, and how doing so brings not only personal joy but a deep sense of connection with the world. What does it mean to live a happy life? For the Stoics, the answer is profoundly simple, yet deeply powerful. Live according to nature. At first glance, this might sound like a call to return to the wild, to forests and streams, or to abandon civilization for a rustic life. But that is not the Stoic meaning. When the Stoics spoke of nature, they meant something far greater and more personal. They meant our human nature, our essential design as rational, social, and moral beings. To live according to nature is to live in alignment with what we truly are. And what are we? Beings endowed with reason, capable of choice, driven by a sense of justice, and made to cooperate with others. We are not wild animals ruled by hunger and instinct. Nor are we machines, acting out scripts without reflection. We are moral agents, and happiness, the Stoics taught, arises when we live in harmony with our nature, not against it. So, what does this look like in practice? Nature gave us the power of reason, the ability to think, reflect, and make conscious decisions. It is this faculty that separates us from other creatures. To live against nature is to be led by passion, greed, fear, or ego. To live with nature is to think clearly, act justly, and choose wisely. Ask yourself, is this action in line with who I want to become? That question, asked daily, brings you closer to the Stoic ideal of living with inner harmony. Nature is full of change, and so is life. Seasons turn, people age, plans collapse, loved ones pass away. To fight against these realities is to fight against nature itself, and this brings suffering. The Stoic chooses instead to accept the flow of life, not with coldness, but with calm understanding. This doesn't mean we become indifferent. It means we recognize what is natural and stop demanding the impossible. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, everything that happens is as natural as the blossoming of a rose. To live happily, then, we must learn to cooperate with reality, not resent it. You were not born to chase pleasure or win arguments. You were born to do your duty as a human, to act with justice, contribute to the good of others, and leave the world a little better than you found it. Each of us has roles: parent, sibling, friend, citizen, worker. The Stoics taught that true fulfillment comes not from escaping these roles, but from performing them with excellence. When you act with honor even in small tasks, you walk the path of virtue, and where virtue is, happiness follows. In today's modern world, happiness is often mistaken for fleeting pleasure. We chase after new gadgets, luxurious vacations, and social validation, believing that these will fill the void inside us. But the more we indulge in these surface-level pursuits, the more we find ourselves anxious, exhausted, or empty. The Stoics offered a radically different perspective, one rooted not in excess, but in essence. This is the Stoic Voice. Please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are watching from in the comment section. To the Stoics, true happiness is not a mood or a moment. It's not laughter at a party or the dopamine spike from 100 likes. True happiness, what the Greek philosophers called eudaimonia, is a state of flourishing, a life lived in accordance with virtue and reason. It is stable, enduring, and immune to the turbulence of external events. Unlike pleasure, which comes and goes based on circumstances, eudaimonia is internal and self-sustaining. This idea seems foreign to us because we live in a culture that prizes stimulation. Every advertisement, every influencer, every trend whispers the same message: you need more. But Stoicism teaches us that we don't need more to be happy, we need less. And we need it to align with our nature as rational, moral beings. Imagine two people. One is wealthy, constantly entertained, and adored by many. Yet he is paranoid, greedy, and easily thrown into despair when things don't go his way. The other is a humble craftsman who lives modestly, treats others with justice, acts with integrity, and sleeps soundly at night. Who is truly happy? The Stoics would say the craftsman, because true happiness depends on who you are, not what you have. It lies in your character, your choices, and your ability to live in harmony with your highest self. When you cultivate courage, temperance, justice, and wisdom, what the Stoics call the four cardinal virtues, you begin to build a fortress of peace within that no misfortune can shake. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, reminded his students that it's not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them. That insight alone unveils the key to a happier life. If you can train your mind to interpret life as events not through the lens of fear or craving but through clarity and virtue, you will find a deeper contentment that no material object can offer. This also means redefining what we expect from life. Instead of asking, "How can I feel good?" we begin to ask, "How can I live well?" This shift in focus from feeling to being, from craving to cultivating, liberates us. It returns power to where it belongs, within ourselves. The Stoic path to happiness isn't about detachment from life, but engagement with life on deeper, wiser terms. It asks us to take responsibility for our reactions, to discipline our desires, and to find joy not in excess, but in excellence. And though this path requires effort and self-honesty, its reward is lasting peace. Happiness is not found in having what you want, but in wanting what you have and in becoming who you were meant to be. Let that be your starting point. At the heart of Stoic philosophy are four pillars, four timeless virtues that together form the foundation of a flourishing and happy life: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These aren't abstract ideals meant only for philosophers in robes or emperors like Marcus Aurelius. They are practical tools for living rightly and with peace, no matter your role or station. Let us explore each one, not as lofty ideas, but as living guides. Wisdom is more than intelligence. It is the ability to discern what is truly good, to judge rightly, and to act accordingly. It is the compass that keeps your thoughts and choices aligned with reality. In a Stoic sense, wisdom helps you see what is within your control and what is not, freeing you from needless anxiety. A wise person does not react impulsively, but considers consequences. They understand that external events are neutral, and it is our interpretation that causes pain. Wisdom invites reflection before response. It asks, is this worth my peace? Is this under my control? To live wisely is to live in awareness. With reason as your guide, it is the antidote to confusion, impulsivity, and despair. Life presents us with fear, uncertainty, and hardship. Courage is the virtue that enables us to face these with dignity. It is not fearlessness, but right action in the presence of fear. A Stoic understands that courage is not only about bold acts like standing in battle or defending truth in the face of persecution. It is also quiet endurance, the resolve to keep moving forward when life is hard, to speak gently when anger rises, to forgive when wronged. True courage means staying anchored to your principles even when the world tries to sway you. It is choosing to be brave every day in thought, word, and deed. Justice is the virtue that governs how we relate to others. It is about fairness, honesty, and responsibility. For the Stoics, to be just is to fulfill your role in society honorably, to give others their due, to speak truthfully, and to act with the welfare of the whole in mind. Justice reminds us that we are not isolated individuals, we are citizens of the world. Our happiness, therefore, is bound up with how we treat others. Marcus Aurelius believed that if an action does not serve the common good, it is not worth doing. A just person does not cheat, lie, or manipulate, even when it is profitable. They live openly and with honor. Temperance is the virtue of moderation. It teaches us to master our appetites, emotions, and impulses. It is the strength to say enough, to avoid excess, and to maintain balance in all areas of life: pleasure, anger, ambition, speech. In a society that constantly tempts us with more food, more wealth, more entertainment, temperance is a radical act. It helps us develop self-control and inner harmony. A temperate person enjoys life's pleasures, but never becomes enslaved by them. They understand that discipline is not restriction, but freedom from addiction. Together, these four virtues offer a complete guide to life. When we pursue them sincerely, not perfectly, but intentionally, we discover that happiness is not something we chase, but something we become. In every situation you face, you can pause and ask, is this a wise choice? Am I being courageous? Is this just to others? Am I acting with temperance? These questions, when made a habit, will reshape your character. And as your character changes, so will your experience of life. For the Stoics, virtue was not just the path to happiness, it was happiness. The next chapter will show how understanding the dichotomy of control can reinforce this virtuous path and bring daily serenity. The Stoic life is not about withdrawing from the world. It's about engaging with the world as the best version of yourself, rational, compassionate, disciplined. When you do, you find that your inner life aligns with the outer world, and peace becomes your natural state. In the next chapter, we'll move from philosophy to practice as we explore Stoic tools like daily reflection and journaling, which help us internalize these truths and shape our days with intention. The Stoic life is not just a matter of abstract thinking, it is a lived, disciplined practice. Like sharpening a blade or tuning an instrument, the Stoic sharpens the soul each day through intentional reflection. And one of the most powerful tools in the Stoics' arsenal is the practice of daily journaling, particularly the morning intention and evening review, unlike modern journaling, which often focuses on emotional venting or creative expression. Stoic journaling is ethical and practical. It's about shaping character, clarifying thoughts, and keeping your inner life aligned with virtue.